Now at 10, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
It took a month, but federal funds will soon be pouring into the state to help the thousands of people still cleaning up after devastating flooding in the Naugatuck Valley. Thanks for joining us here on the News at 10 on Fox 61 Plus tonight. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. A truly historic storm hit the state, damaging roads and destroying homes and businesses. But now federal dollars will go towards rebuilding.
Fox 61's Alexa Farrell is in Southbury now with news from the president that will help Connecticut recover. Alexa.
Governor Ned Lamont praising President Biden after he declared Western Connecticut a major disaster area. Now federal funding can start coming through to help relieve some of the pressure and stress that people have been feeling after their homes, personal belongings and businesses were destroyed by this 1 in 100,000 year storm.
This money is going to be available right away, within weeks, not months.
Connecticut state leaders joined together in Southbury Friday to bring hope to those with destroyed homes and businesses in Litchfield, Fairfield, and New Haven counties. They say the money could get to individuals within about 2 weeks.
It can be a complex process to follow. That's why we ask people to register, and then FEMA or the SBA will reach out to you.
Once people register, the agency will survey the damage before funds will be distributed. There will be 2 different setups to help people with the process. FEMA will run a disaster recovery center for homeowners, and the Small Business Administration will have a resource center for businesses.
And the number one thing I would say to people is collect your receipts. Document your damage.
Brenda Bergeron, the Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Emergency Services, says that FEMA will be arriving next week.
And be patient with the understanding that FEMA is going to look at what they find is eligible, and they are following rules about what's eligible.
The amount of money granted will depend on how many people apply and what is eligible. The maximum repair amount for a home is $42,500. There's also assistance available for damage to personal property items that caps at the same $42,500. And low-interest loans will also be available.
Build back better with resilience. In other words, not just putting the road where it was exactly the same way, but actually trying to buffer it from the river that flooded and destroyed it.
So boots on the ground here in Southbury and the surrounding towns starting next week. Senator Richard Blumenthal says that this funding is so important so that people can move forward and start to rebuild their lives. And he fears moving forward with climate change, there'll be much more need for federal funding. In Southbury, Alexa Farrell, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Alexa, thank you. Time for a first look at the weather. The weekend is upon us, and we're all making plans.
Yeah, let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank for a first look at the forecast. Hi, Rachel.
It does look like it may be a damp day in eastern Connecticut, especially for New London, Windham, Tallinn counties, with a couple off and on showers. But if you're in the Hartford area on west, it'll be very similar to today with mostly cloudy skies and cooler temperatures. I did also want to mention that some minor coastal flooding is likely during high tide overnight and then during a couple of those high tide cycles during your Saturday. So what that means is there could be periodic flooding along the immediate shoreline. Again, not from rain coming down, but from water rising due to piling in Long Island Sound. So just make sure you're not parking your car in an area that is flood prone. I don't want you to wake up to any surprises. There might be some road closures off and on through the course of the weekend that could tack on some extra time to anywhere you have to go. And of course, don't drive through any flooded roads. This is something that happens many, many times through the course of the year for those along the immediate shoreline. High tide for the New Haven area is close to 2 a.m. and for the New London area, it's right around midnight. Taking a look at the radar, it has been raining all day from Boston down through the Cape, off and on showers for Rhode Island, and those showers got as close as Mystic and Stonington today. But there is a chance it could get a bit closer tomorrow. Overnight lows in the 50s to right around 60 degrees. Watching the radar, those showers coming back in from the ocean, and again, a few are possible, especially in eastern areas as we head through the day tomorrow. Otherwise, I think for the Big E, somewhere in central Connecticut or right down the I-91 corridor, we're looking at dry conditions, but a lot of clouds and high temperatures in the 60s. We'll get a closer look at your forecast and some improvement for the second half of the weekend coming up.
All right, Rachel, thank you. Justice for a 3-year-old boy shot dead in Hartford in 2021. The man police say pulled the trigger has been found guilty. 22-year-old Josiah Smith of Hartford was convicted on Tuesday. Police say he shot and killed young Randall Jones Jr. on April 10th in a drive-by shooting at the intersection of Garden and Nelson Street. The 3-year-old was in the back seat of the car. He was rushed to the hospital but did not survive his injuries. 2 other children were also in the car. They were not hit. Smith will be sentenced on December 10th.
A woman is behind bars tonight, charged with arson. Police believe she set fire to an apartment building in Bloomfield. Firefighters say they were helping 70-year-old Maria Salas get out of her building when she told them she had started the fire. Crews were called at Dorothy Drive in Woodside Village just before 3 this morning. That fire ripped through an apartment on the first floor and then spread to the second. An 89-year-old was taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation, but we're told they're doing okay. Fox 61 spoke with a live-in caregiver who says there are many senior citizens in that building who are now without a home.
Of course it's scary. You hear fire, and when you know most of these, and it's a senior, most seniors live here, so it's very scary. And of course, the important thing is to get out the client and myself safe. And what I found with the residents who live here, they were very together because everybody was looking out for, is this one out? Is that one out?
People in 16 units are without a home tonight. The Red Cross is helping them find a place to stay.
Well, since the start of the school year, districts across the state have been inundated with threats, and state lawmakers say social media is fueling the fire. Governor Lamont and Senator Blumenthal joined New Haven middle schoolers today to talk about the nearly 24 threats made since classes began. Students told them they love their apps, everything from Instagram to TikTok, but there is a dark side. Senator Blumenthal believes there is a link between social media use and the uptick in threats.
Social media is an accelerant, like in a fire. It can spread and deepen harmful comments, threats, and bullying. We need to have more content moderation from social media.
Blumenthal says social media companies are failing kids by not regulating content. A new bill that aims to moderate online content is gaining bipartisan support and is expected to be brought up for a vote in the House of Representatives next week.
In West Haven now, a man is dead, shot by officers last night. The video behind me is of law enforcement racing to the scene at Splash Car Wash on the Boston Post Road. Fox 61's Joy LeBlanc has more on what happened now over 24 hours ago.
The car wash has been closed all day after we saw workers cleaning up what was left of the crime scene Friday morning. In the meantime, we spoke with witnesses who either saw or heard some of what happened here.
Shots fired in West Haven towards 1 and 67. The car wash next to Dunkin' Donuts on Orange.
Thursday night, just after 5 o'clock.
We don't need any cars coming in. We're going to try to get all these cars out here.
In all hands on deck situation on the Boston Post Road in West Haven.
They give me cruisers to the entrance to the car wash.
Surveillance video from a nearby store capturing the response on camera, starting with an investigation at Splash Car Wash led by officers from the State Police Violent Crimes Task Force and the New Haven Police Criminal Intel Unit. At one point, shots rang out.
I had a couple shots, like someone is shooting somebody, like pop, 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 pop.
Santi Diaz was at his restaurant nearby, sitting in his office with a window overlooking the back of the car wash.
Tried to look to the window, but I decided not to because I don't know, maybe something happened in the back. I don't want to be in the middle.
Police say the suspect they were surveillancing displayed a gun, which prompted a state police sergeant and a New Haven police officer to shoot, injuring and eventually killing the 36-year-old New Haven man.
About half hour we were sitting there watching everything.
Rafael Roman and Tito Rodriguez were stuck in their car in the busy intersection as officers cleared the area.
First it started like 4 or 5 cops. Then we saw detectives come, but they were just rushing into the scene.
The officers walking away uninjured but not unaffected. New Haven Police Chief Carl Jacobson speaking on their response Thursday night.
This shows you what happens in violent situations. Our officers do the best job they can do to not do this. And I just left them, and clearly they're upset, but it's unfortunate.
An impact neighbors can feel too.
Well, yes, of course. We're always going to be thinking about what happened. You know, when something like that happened, it always stay a little, you always have a little feeling.
The investigation is now in the hands of the Office of the Inspector General, which by state law is required to release the video from the body-worn cameras of the officers within 96 hours of the incident. At that time, we're also expected to learn the names of the officers and the man who was killed. We are in West Haven. Julia LeBlanc, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.